For those of you who've been around on this channel for a while, you will know that possibly my favourite strategy to do when it comes to football trading is the under 2.5 goal market. It's just quite simple to get your head around. It's a simple one trade at the start of a game. You wait 10-15 minutes, hope there hasn't been a goal, and you cash out for a quick, nice profit. There's also some little strategies you can do if there does end up being a goal during the first 10 minutes or so, depending on how the match is looking. So it's a nice, easy strategy to get into. But today's video is going to actually focus on the over 2.5 goal strategy, the complete flip end of that strategy that I was just talking about. In this scenario here, you're going to be backing the over 2.5 goals and then hoping a goal comes either early or at least early in the second half at the latest point in the game. We're going to go through it in a bit more detail, don't worry, but before we get into this, I just want to say that, of course, throughout this video, you might think I'm doing something incorrectly, or I mess up, or anything like that. That will happen. I'm a complete beginner when it comes to Betfair trading. I'm learning loads of little strategies. I'm kind of trying to get a knowledge which is a mile wide and an inch deep. So I'm trying to learn all the strategies very minimally, and then once I get a feel of a few that I really enjoy, we'll start to really zone in on them strategies and learn fully them ones, so that I can't keep saying at the start of videos that I'm a beginner in them ones. But I am a complete beginner. I like to use small stakes, unlike other Betfair traders online, just while I get to grips with things. If you see a strategy on this channel that you enjoy and want to try out for yourself, then please do be sure to do more reading on the strategy, watch more videos on the strategy, do whatever you can. Don't just follow this video. Use this as a rough guide to see if you think you'll enjoy the strategy or get on well with it. So without further ado, let's get into this strategy. It is very simple though, so let's just get into it. So I just want to show you a photo here of the over 2.5 goal market. You can see on the graph to the side of me here, I don't know which side it will be, but you can see to the side of me here the graph for the over 2.5 goal market, and you can see how the trend of the graph goes. The graph gradually rises up as the game stays 0-0. You can see there's a little bit of a pause here for when the game went to half time. You can see it goes up quite drastically after half time, but then as soon as a goal goes in, it drops right back down. Now the later in the game it goes, the less that gap will be, the less that drop down will be, because a late goal essentially still doesn't really help too much to it being over 2.5 goals. Especially if it's only the first goal in the game, it's not going to help with the odds too much, which is why this strategy I would definitely say is either a fully first half strategy, or at the latest 55th, 60th minute strategy. That's the point where you'll be out of the market for this trade, at the latest point. But you can see here at what point you'd be wanting to invest at. So here ideally you'd be wanting to have a point in your trade right at the top before the drop happens, and then once the drop's happened, you can leave for quite a big profit. So let me get you through the ins and outs of this. So you might be thinking, how on earth do you manage to time that point where just before the drop you can get your trade in and then get out for a big profit? And the way we do that is just by splitting up our stake. This allows us to make sure that if a goal does come quite late on, we will have had a fairly recent section where our stake's been injected. So however you want to split up your stakes, completely up to you. Personally, I like to put my stake in at 50% from either the 10th to 15th minute of the game, and then 25% of the stake goes in around the 30th minute, and then the other 25% goes just after half time if I'm waiting until the 55th minute. But we'll get into my specific strategies for games later on in this video when I show you guys 3 specific trades I did over the course of last night for the World Cup qualifiers. Now, with another bit of pinch of salt here, please do take note that the World Cup qualifiers I used last night didn't have streams available for them, so I wasn't able to watch the games live. I only had the stats to go off in-game. There's not really too much detail of research you can do with international games either, so all this should show why some of these trades might not have worked in this video, but hopefully this video will still be helpful for you, because you'll be able to see what my thought process was during the trades and how the market reacted once goals had gone in. When it comes to you actually using this trade yourself, please do some research, even if it's just minimal research before the game, just to learn what the teams are like. Also, make sure you can actually watch the game, because it's the best way to judge what is going on with the game. Now, like I said, the best situation for me for this strategy is to split my stake up 50, 25 and then 25. And the reason that 50% goes in at the 10th to 15th minute instead of the opening minute of the game is for this exact reason here. So if you just look to the prices here for the over 2.5 goals, this is as the game's kicked off. So for example, let's take the Scotland-Faroe Islands game here. It started off at odds of 2 for the over 2.5 goal market. If we left that the first 10 minutes, you can see it jumps up to 2.4. It does this for every single game. So you can see here, for example, Sweden-Greece, 2.54 up to 3.15. Obviously, the exceptions are the games where goals go in. So, for example, you've got Kosovo-Georgia. That is down here for some reason on this graph, 2.68 at the start of the game, but then 10 minutes in, 1.56. So if you'd have gone in from the start with that game, you would have made a nice little profit there. But you can see with the grand scheme of things here, the likelihood of a goal going in the first 10 minutes is normally quite slim, especially if you do your research and make sure that no team is an early goal scorer. So that is why we wait till the 10th minute onwards to place our first section of our stake, just because it gives us a little bit more of a boosted odds. It's not very likely a goal's going to go in, so it gives you an instant little bit of extra to your potential profit from that moment onwards. Now, a common mistake of these type of strategies, especially if you're a beginner trader, by the way, if you are a beginner trader, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button too, and look up some of the other trades I've done that might be some more easy ones to get into first before you try this one out. But one of the common mistakes people make early on is they think because we're trading the over 2.5 goal market, we're looking for 3 goals in the game. That is completely false. In the over 2.5 goal market, we're only looking for one well-timed goal. A goal that comes hopefully first half or early second half, and then we can get out of the market for a profit. We don't need the full over 2.5 goals to be able to get our profit. We just need a goal before the 55th or 60th minute, and then we can get some nice profit and get out the market. So don't worry if you think 2 of the teams you've done research on are not high scoring teams. Kind of more worry about what minute of the game they tend to score or concede, because honestly, a team that scores 10 goals in a game but it's always the 80th minute onwards isn't going to be helpful for this trade. Whereas a team that scores only 1 goal a game but tends to score between the 10th and 20th minute, they're going to be perfect for this trade because it's going to get you the profit. Yes, they won't get over the 2.5 goals and the other team will, but it's going to be easier for you to extract your profit, because if you really are just focusing on a game and you definitely want there to be over 2.5 goals regardless of the minute it comes in, you're just going to leave your stake there, you would just be better off placing a bet, which is obviously something we're not doing over here. So 10 minutes in, finally, let's get into these trades. So we were 10 minutes into these games and I decided to select 3 games with a rough idea of why I was selecting them. So we chose Faroe Islands, Scotland, but Scotland needed to go for a win in this game. So I was hopeful that they will be pushing on and getting an early goal. If not getting an early goal, then leaving it open to the counter, and Faroe Islands might get an early goal themselves. We then had Albania, Poland, 2nd and 3rd in the group. Poland definitely needing to push for it, and Albania also probably wanting to push for it and really cement their place in trying to get some qualifying for the group. And then we also went for Denmark, Austria. Just 2 fairly decent teams playing each other. Decent teams, but not incredible ones, so they might be open to leaving their defence open a little bit. So I'll just go along here to the footage of me placing these bets. You can see Denmark, Austria, we went in at 2.44, and you can see I was going in here with a stake of £10. Now you might be wondering why we went in with a stake of £10. I'll just pause this to make it easier to show you guys these. So £10 in Denmark, Austria. That is 50% of our stake, because we're going in with £20 overall here. So 50% of our stake for Denmark, Austria. 50% for Albania, Poland, and then 50% for Faroe Islands, Scotland. And then it is just a waiting game. Like with most trades, you wait for something to happen in the game and then you react to that happening. So let's go to the next step. So the next step here is around about half an hour in, which is where I go with my next 25%. Like I said, it's completely up to you, however you split your stakes up. I'll show you guys a bit later on again why you should split your stake up, but you should definitely split your stake up, even if it's just into two, just to make sure that you can try and get some decent profit as the game goes on and no goal comes. So I like to go in with my second 25% at around the 30th minute. So you can see here the current scores for all the games at around the half hour mark were all still 0-0. You can see some other goals had gone in the other games, so by this point in the other games we would have already been out of our trades, but in our games that we selected it is still 0-0. So we went in and quite simply just added onto our stake. So you can see the odds had already shot up quite drastically for these trades for the over 2.5 goal market. So we just went in and put in £5, taking our total stake up to 15 for each of the games. So you can see there with Denmark, Austria, once that gets verified, there's the Albania, Poland one verified as well, and then the Faroe Islands, Scotland one there too. So I'll just get that page refreshed there, and you can see we now have two sections on each of the trades. And then again, it's just another section of a waiting game. You wait for something to take place in the games for you to react to. But whilst we wait for something to happen in the games, let me just show you why we split our stake up, in case you're a beginner here and you've got a bit of confusion maybe around why we do it. So if we just take an example here from the Austria-Denmark game, you can see we got into the market just then at 3.45, which is up around here, which is where we are at this point. We also got into the market very early on, I'd say around about the 2.5 mark, I think we did, just at the start of the game. So the reason we split our stake up is because once we got in here at this 2.5 mark, you can see the odds had started to climb as the game went on, which is something you'd expect. But the later the game goes on, once a goal does eventually come, the odds will drop. But the question is, depending on the time or the minute the game is in, the odds might only drop to, let's say, 2.75 here. They will probably drop to more than that, but as the game goes on, these odds will climb a lot higher, obviously, and the drop won't be as big. So there is a slim chance, if it's later on in the game or into the second half, that if a goal does come and you've put your full stake in the first 10 minutes at that 2.5 mark, a goal might not actually bring you any profit because of the odds for the over 2.5 goals not being high anymore still. That goal might not make too much of an impact. It will lower the odds and get you close to the price you put your first trade on at, but it might not drop enough for you to actually be able to extract some profit. I'll show you this again when a goal goes in and we can really analyse the chart a bit more there just to explain it hopefully in an easier way. But that is the key situation here. You're basically putting in your trade at other points so that when the market does drop, you have multiple opportunities there to be able to get some profit from the market. It does only tend to be a problem when it's getting later on in the game though, because as you can see here from this example with the Ukraine-Bosnia, a goal went in the first half in this game, and you can see regardless of where you put your first trade in here, you will have made profit because the odds dropped that much because it was such an early goal. If it's a really early goal, you don't need to worry about the odds building up, of course, because you'll be in and out of the market anyway. It's only if the game goes on when you need to start adding in your 25% or your 50% or however you split up your stake. So the next section we come back to here is at half time. Now at half time here you can see all three games were still nil. So what I decided to do at this point was analyse the stats a bit more of these three games and decide whether or not I did actually want to put in my next 25%. If it doesn't look like there's going to be an opportunity for an early goal early on in the second half, trust your instincts, trust your judgment, and don't back it with the rest of your stake. You haven't put the rest of your stake in there yet. It's not a risk. get out for a smaller loss if you truly believe that a goal won't come anytime soon. And we do that with one of these games here. So first of all, can I just point out, every other game, apart from the 3 I selected, was 0-0. Oh sorry, every other game had a goal. The only 3 I chose were the only 3 who didn't have a goal. So this is why I'm saying take this video with a pinch of salt. If I'd have chose any other games for this, if I'd have done every single other game apart from these 3, we would have walked away with profit for every single game by now. But it's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes, as long as in the long run you end up getting your profit, it should all be okay. So to check the stats, I literally just used SofaScore for all 3 of the games because I didn't have any streams available. So if we look here for the Denmark-Austria game, you can see that there was some good chances. If we look at the shots down here at the bottom, there was some decent end-to-end chances. Both teams looked in it, and I thought, you know what, we'll give that game a bit longer. We'll give that game till the 55th, 60th minute and hopefully see a goal there. So I was happy to continue with Austria-Denmark. We then went to Faroe Islands, Scotland, and you can see here yet again, loads of chances for the Faroe Islands on the counter. Scotland dominating possession, bound to get a few chances, happy enough to leave that one in it as well. But then we get to Poland, Albania. Poland kind of edging possession a little bit there, but still not creating much. Albania not creating much either, no big chances in the game. I just thought to myself, I'm not optimistic about that game in the slightest. So what I did straight away from this one is I thought, no, I don't want to risk the Albania-Poland with another 25% of my stake, so I just got out of that market with a £9.55 loss, I believe. Once the loss is confirmed, we'll obviously show that a little bit more detail, £9.44 there. So you can see a £9.44 loss. If we look at that over the course of the whole £20 stake that I would have originally put in, or put in total, I was willing to put in for that, you can see it's a 47.2% loss, which obviously isn't great, but with most losses with trades these days, you will tend to see quite a high loss, but it's all about how much you get when the trade does actually pay off to help you calculate how it goes. But obviously it is also going to be very hard to work out the actual profits for this, because if a goal comes in the first 15 minutes, you might get some decent profit, but you won't have your full stake there either. So that's going to already put a little bit of a negative side on your profit. If a goal comes in the 30th minute, that's probably the ideal situation, just after you've put your second 25% on. But if a goal comes after half time, you're not going to see as big of a jump in the odds, so you're not going to see as big of a profit there either. So there's kind of no sweet spot there for you to get an ideal amount of profit, but at least I can show you guys in this video what the loss looks like. So we got a 47% loss there, and then after the games had kicked off for the second half, I went in with my final £5 stake, which is my final 25%, to get that up to a £20 stake in total. You can see we got it up there in the Denmark-Austria game, and then we did the same over with Scotland-Faroe Islands. And then we finally had something go right for us. We had a goal come in the Denmark-Austria game, as you can see there in the 52nd minute, roughly about 3 minutes before I would have started to think about my process of exiting both of these trades. Key thing to note if you're a beginner is also to have your exit point ready in your head. So have it before you even start the trade, decide if you're going to be getting out at half time, or the 55th minute, or the 60th minute. Just have that ready and don't go beyond that, otherwise you'll be going down a slippery slope. So just keep it in your mind what your exit point is and make sure you stick to it. So mine for these trades was the 55th minute, and you can see here, luckily for us, in the Denmark-Austria game, we did manage to get a goal, which took our profit into this game to £2.01, which is about a 10% return. It's not ideal, but that is because the goal came quite late on. So we were never going to see a huge amount of profit there. It then got to the 55th minute in the Faroe Islands-Scotland game, and based on the second half stats, you can see Scotland were dominating the possession, but not really creating any decent chances. Faroe Islands weren't really doing much either, so I decided at this point I was ready to cut my losses, and as you can see, we got out for £11.69, which is a loss of 58.45%, as you can see from the calculator there. So again, quite a large loss compared to the profit we got from the other trade, which was only 10%. But you could also see from the selection of games that were available last night for World Cup qualifying, the 3 I chose were the only 3 that wouldn't have had some early decent profit. So do keep that in mind. Don't let these 3 put you off this strategy. Do some more research around it and look into it if you possibly can, because I genuinely think this was my bad for this game selection. It will be a lot easier when club football returns to be able to get an understanding of which games will be better for this strategy. So I just want to go back here to that point before about splitting up your stake. You can see here from the Austria-Denmark game, the game we actually had our bet on, or our trade on I should say, and you'll be able to see here why we split our stake up. So we got into this market here, as you can see, with 2.48 odds. So that is around about down here. So if we'd have put 100% of our stake down here at 2.48 and then left it until that goal came, you can actually see we wouldn't have got out at a profit because of how long it took for that goal to come in. The odds did drop massively, as you can see there, but they didn't drop enough to get to the 2.48 mark. So we would have made a loss if we'd have used 100% of our stake from the 10th minute onwards, which is why at different increments you just add in part of your stake as it goes. So you can see we added our stake in at 2.5, 3.5 and 5.8. So we actually had our stake in around here just after half time, and you can see that there will be the point which gave us quite a bit of profit. We obviously didn't manage to get in up here at close to 8 odds because that was just before the goal had gone in, but we did manage to get quite close to that, which is why I think it's quite good if you're willing to have that extra 10-15 minutes of a game in the second half to leave some of your stake ready for that if you intend on going past the half-time mark. I think 9 times out of 10 you would definitely want to focus on a first half strategy for this trade because you want an early goal. But if you're confident with the teams and think a half-time break might re-energise everyone, then there's no reason why you can't put in a bit more of your stake in the second half, ready for a drop like this that we managed to get from the Denmark-Austria game. So you can see there, that is why we split up the stake. If we'd have put all our stake in at 2.5, we would have made a loss regardless of the goal going in, but we managed to split up our stake and then take home a nice little bit of profit. And the reason we get out at the 55th to 60th minute is exactly why you can see here. You can see there was a goal in the Faroe Islands-Scotland game. It came very late on, and if we look at the odds, there was no drop to the graph at all because the goal was so late it didn't matter to the odds in the slightest. I think you could probably get away with a goal going in the 70th minute if you pushed it and if you'd left some of your stake till later on in the second half as well, but 9 times out of 10 after the 55th to 60th minute it's not going to be worth it once a goal's gone in, especially if the game's still at 0-0, so it would definitely be worth getting out of the trade. But if a goal goes in the first half of a game, you don't just have to cash out like we did with the Denmark-Austria game. You can fully cash out like I did, of course, and get a quick profit, but you can also just cancel out your risk. You can essentially lay the over 2.5 goals, take out your original £20 stake or however much you put in, and then just allow it to basically run as a free bet. Especially if the goal comes quite early on, you can do that with a bit more confidence that you might be able to get some extra profit from that. Obviously, it's only what you're comfortable doing. Personally, I'd like to just get out for a quick profit, but it's up to you how it goes. Now, obviously, I've shown you guys here quite a few trades where this didn't go to plan. Quite a few games where it finished 0-0 or a goal came too late to really count. And you might see some similarities between this trade and the laying the draw trade, but I would actually stress that I prefer this trade over that laying the draw trade, because with the laying the draw, as you'll have saw in my previous videos, you predominantly need the favourite to score first. You need them to take the lead to be able to get your profit. Whereas with this over 2.5 goal strategy, it doesn't matter which team takes the lead, as long as there is a goal. So if you're confident pushing that laying the draw strategy, and you think the goals will come quite early on in a game, especially if you think the goals will come in the first half, then I'd kind of push you more towards using this strategy than the laying the draw one, because it doesn't matter who scores the goal, you're going to get your profit. But that is it, that's the strategy. I know it was a bit long-winded this time around and I've waffled a lot more than I normally would. Blame that on me not doing a video for a few weeks, so I'm probably not in the right swing of things here. But I still think this strategy is very viable and could be used very effectively. Let me know down in the comments if you've used this strategy before or if you plan on using it in the future. Also, let me know down below if you've got any recommendations for strategies for me to try out. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button, because both make a huge difference. But thank you for watching this. I hope I didn't hurt anyone's brain by waffling too much, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.